Alive. Okay, so welcome to Midweek Medicine, where you are the medicine. And I'm joined with Joe Riley at Yes You, and myself, I'm Alice. And today we're going to be talking about procrastination. Yes, that dreadful word. Even sounds awful, doesn't it? Procrastination. And why we procrastinate, and the blockages that we need to come through to do what we need, do what we're here to do, and how to do it. So, Joe, what's procrastination to you? What are you procrastinating about right now?
I think for me, procrastination is always a reminder to me, because most things that we procrastinate are the things we need to do. And we always seem to put them off because either there's an underlying fear or doubt or something. So we tend to put things off where actually they are the most important. When we are procrastinating, it's a sign that it's actually something that needs to be done. That's me personally. I found when I found myself procrastinating in life, I was just like, it's the things I need to do that I'm too scared to do, because there's obviously underlying fear or doubt or something that needs to be worked through. So
Yeah, overwhelm, actually.
Yeah.
Your list is so long, and sort of you get blockages along the way, and just deciding what to do next. Well, you know what to do next, you can't do it for some reason.
Yes,
And
exactly.
and your mind gets too busy, and yeah, it's like blockages, really, isn't it? It's like we're having blockages in every layer of our field, whether it's energetic, physical blockages, say if we're unwell. Yeah, so there's lots of areas that we could look into here. You have your
Absolutely.
you have your
And I
to-do list, and you never get through it.
and I think another one is also, trying to do things perfect. Perfect, perfect is actually it's like procrastination in a fancy outfit, really, because you want something to be perfect, so you never do it because you think it's never good enough. So you procrastinate on whatever it is you need to be doing because you want it to be perfect, and there's no such thing as perfect, so it never actually happens.
Yeah, perfectionism. Yeah, it's always been a thing for me, and it's like whatever time, but it's not perfect. But I don't expect it to be perfect. But it's like getting to that good enough level.
But you see, but
Good
then that
enough.
also holds us back
Yeah,
sometimes.
exactly. So everything is just good enough. And the way I see everything now, it's an iterative process. So we put it out and we improve and we adjust. It
Yeah.
doesn't have, nothing is ever perfect. And I think it's all to do with judgment as well, because that's where perfectionism and judgment, where we feel we put something out and it's not good enough. We fear it stops us because we don't want to be judged. But really, we're judging
Yeah.
ourselves. So it's not
Selves,
good.
exactly. And that's where and because we judge ourselves, that's where the fear comes from, and the doubt, because then you start doubting yourself.
Yes.
So I think it's always, to try and break through that cycle of procrastination is actually just start, even if you don't feel ready. Like, just because you always, otherwise you're going to have the fear. And if you can actually learn to park the fear, so yes, we all have fear, you can't get away from that, but learning how to control it instead of it controlling us, I think, is a huge step forward to how to break the cycles of procrastination. And I mean, there's so much fear going on in the world that
Yeah.
we all, people are scared to do anything these days. They're scared to step out of their comfort zone, scared, there's so much fear that I think I've learned. One of the things I try and do as a practice is when I feel fear, I'm like, I feel you. I'm going to put you in my pocket. I'm just going to park you there. I know you're there, but you don't have any control over the situation. And then it makes it easier to actually then keep moving forward.
Yeah. And taking small steps, it's like when we're trying new things, it can be more challenging, so practicing stepping out of our comfort zone, going somewhere new, doing something new, trying new things, because actually that builds our confidence. And a lot of time I think, oh well, actually I haven't done that before, so I'm not confident at that. But actually confidence only comes with practice, and
Yes.
making those small steps, and then you can build confidence that way, and you can also stop the procrastination by taking the small steps out of your comfort
Absolutely.
zone.
And I
And
think, a lot of people think like procrastination means laziness, and it doesn't. It just might mean that rest is also different to procrastination, and we need to know the difference. We need to know that sometimes we do need to rest, and it doesn't mean you're being lazy. It doesn't mean you're procrastinating. Maybe your body needs to recalibrate, your nervous system needs to reset. And I think it's really important to really start understanding the difference between needing rest and listening, and whether you're procrastinating because there's fear and doubt in the lurking in the background.
Yeah, and I think just taking, I think in these times of, global transformation, it's actually taking small rests. Because actually it's a rest period where you just allow yourself to take some time out.
Yes.
And then that's when new ideas drop in. It's like
Yes.
we need to take the pressure off ourselves,
Yes.
take the perfectionism off ourselves, and really sink in to being in that moment. Because I don't know
Yes.
about you, but I'm actually forgetting everything that happened yesterday. It's just like,
Yeah.
and I don't know what the future is, but I'm just staying here. Okay, yes, don't get me wrong. I'm still, I still can procrastinate. I can still think, lots and lots of stuff. But it's just like when we actually just come back to this moment, and that's all we have, right? Yeah, actually, they say about, living in the now or whatever, but actually, that's all we have. And so it's like really having a deep realization that this is the moment. So I can spend all day procrastinating. And sometimes we do, because actually it's probably telling us we need to have a break, need to have a rest, and do something else, do something more practical, or go
And
for a
that's what
walk.
I was talking about. Exactly that. There's a difference between rest and procrastination. Procrastination is built around fear and doubt and comparison. Like if we're comparing ourselves to other people, then we always want it to be better or perfect, or we think we're not good enough. But actually, it's not true. Just if you just keep showing up and doing what you need to do, even if it's just, do 5 minutes of just try something for 5 minutes. If you're procrastinating on it, it means you need to do it. So do it and give it 5 minutes and then see how you feel, because it's not as bad as we make it out to be when we actually do what we're procrastinating on. And I think that's a very important part, But yes, absolutely. If you need to rest, is totally different. If you need to, and I think what's going on around the world at the moment, we are having to recalibrate. There's a lot of change happening. We're going through a massive, massive collective conscious change at the moment as well. So our bodies do need to recalibrate. Physically, our nervous systems need to recalibrate and get to the same level. So rest is really important. And I think a lot of people are at the moment of finding they're being forced to take moments of rest.
Yeah, because the thing is, if we don't listen to our body,
yes,
we become ill. If we don't listen to the signs, it's actually, on an individual level, we need to, listen to and tune in to
yes,
what we need. It's not about what somebody else needs, and it's not about how they do something. It's about how we're choosing to do it, and actually working the steps through and actually getting it finished. And
yes,
finishing, I think, is another thing. It's okay starting, even being in the middle, but the finishing part is kind of that finality. It's like,
yes.
that's finished, So it's also trying not to over dramatize everything that we do, and being a bit more light-hearted about it. You put something, okay, so it doesn't seem to work, or no one responds, or whatever your project you're doing. It's like really getting more into the flow, because when we get into the flow, then all these opportunities can arise, and
Absolutely.
you realize how powerful our thoughts are, and in manifesting, it's
And
like,
I,
I'd like to do this, and then
yeah.
wow, something out of nowhere appears to connect with that, and wow, something else happens.
And I think just that point you're talking about, a lot of people give up before actually, because they get to that point where it's nearly finishing, and then they're not getting whatever it is, the likes or the clients or the everything that is, that they need, and to run their business and do. So they end up doubting themselves, and then they give up instead of actually just keep going, because eventually you will break through. You know, if your intention and you keep going and you believe and you know that it feels right in your heart and you want, and you know it's something that really lights you up, that you want to be of service, however that looks, you know, if you keep going, yes, you will eventually get there. But we give up so much quicker than we actually keep going because of all these things.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm just checking that we are online because it actually says we haven't gone live. So
No,
I'll
we
just go.
are, because we've actually got someone on. Nick. Hi, Nick.
Oh, really? Well, it looks completely different at my end. It says we haven't gone live. It says we're in preview mode. So, okay, I just want to. Oh, great. It
Unless
is
I'm
true.
just live all by myself.
Well, I don't think so because I am talking to you. Oh no, it says I'm live, so that's fine. I just wanted to double check. Nothing worse, not recording something and then putting it out and it's all blank. So great. I'm glad we have a human listening. Yeah, so I was just really thinking about that because I felt really stuck recently. You know, having more than one project, and I'm really excited about all of them. But it's like we really have to learn to prioritize and really follow something through to the end. And that's why I think that we really need support. You know, so when we have support, it actually makes it, you know, or when we've got accountability with someone. Like we have accountability because we're always here on Wednesdays. So that's our accountability as well, that we support each other through this. And obviously we support each other outside of this. But, you know, it's like having that accountability and having that soundboard. Because often we just need to speak things through to actually, because we have all the answers, right? They're all within us. We have all the answers. We know the direction. I mean, obviously, everything outside of us can change, but we know in ourselves where we're going and what we need to do. It's just having that support around us. That's why I think collaboration is so important.
Yes.
I mean, I spent years writing my book and, you know, doing it pretty much on my own. And obviously, I would speak to some people about it and I would go to the odd, you know, writers group. And once I met this amazing American journalist and she offered to talk about my book with me and give me advice and which way direction to go in and things like this. And then she got me to come to some small meeting with some other people that were also wanting to write books. And we all spoke our first chapter that was obviously unfinished and very draft, you know, not final draft at all. But, you know, we got to express it. And it's very powerful when we speak and use our voice because it's a vibrational transmitter. You know, we're transmitting out our frequency. We're transmitting out what it is we're creating. So it was amazingly supportive. And it was like one session. But it's
And
really,
you know, and talking about exactly that with what you're saying, you know, energy and frequency matter. It's we are energetic beings, but you cannot create from a depleted place. So if you are feeling depleted or you're not getting, you know, if you're putting too much pressure on yourself or you're judging yourself and you don't think it's good enough, you know, then all of a sudden you go to like a meeting like you've just spoken about and everyone's like, wow, that's amazing. And it just instantly shifts your frequency. It instantly shifts your vibration and you feel, oh, okay, I am on the right track. So yes, I think using our voices and speaking and sharing is very important.
yeah. So yeah, because that gives you confidence. And
Yes.
also, I know for myself, when I speak to other people, I often have ideas for them too. They just come out of my mouth. So it's like when we actually connect, we share what it is we're doing, we speak our truth, then there's a calibration with somebody else around you that can support you, can give some input or some feedback or some encouragement. And, you know, that being seen is so powerful. I mean, it's happened to me a few times recently. And yeah, it's amazing how such a small amount, really, of energy of someone just seeing you and understanding you, listening to what you're saying or what issue you have, or, you know, just speaking up what you're doing. And then they say, oh, maybe this, or maybe that could help, or speak to this person. And so, yeah, so I see this whole network of, I know we're online a lot because, you know, that's the way of the world. We're all in different, you know, worlds, and you can't always work and connect with people. Well, we can, but, you know, in our local vicinity. But sometimes, you know, we have the online thing. But, you know, it's like we can really stretch our frequency and our knowledge and share and support, and it's so powerful. So you know, it takes a bit of, you know, getting used to, you know, doing network online and speaking to people and groups of people. But you know what, the times I've done it, it's been so powerful, and I've met such lovely people just finding out other people are doing and their struggles, because chances are they're kind of similar to yours as well. And that's what's so reassuring. Is, we actually bring each other up because, oh gosh, I've been struggling with that, and I'm struggling with finishing or starting something new or trying something new. So I think this is the point of this time, is that we're here to really support each other just by being seen and voiced. And so I feel really optimistic that new things are coming through for all of us.
Definitely.
Even if they're small steps, but things are changing, because
100%.
everyone I know around me has been on such a roller coaster ride. It's like, yeah, but at the end, we get off the roller coaster.
Yes. I think sometimes we just have to really trust. And also, again, one of the topics we've spoken about previously, and this is a good example, like yesterday, Monday, we lost a house to move. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I'm running out of time, blah, 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 or everything. All of a sudden you get stuck in your head and everything becomes like consumed, and you create all of this uncertainty and stress and fear. And then all of a sudden I was like, I went for a walk, and, I just went in silence. And when I was walking, but before we lost the house, I was told, you're going to lose this house. You're not going to get the house. And then I was just about to start panicking. And then I was told, but it's okay, because there's something else that's going to show up. So just, but you need to, but if we don't quiet, if we get stuck in that fear in the mind and everything's going, you can't think yourself out of it. You need to sometimes then just take a moment and just listen and quiet the mind, so that you can actually see other solutions and opportunities that will show up. And I do believe that the magic, as we know from proof, I mean, we're living proof, the magic always lies on the other side of things we keep avoiding. Once, if we can break through or accept or find a way around and shift it, then we like, oh wow, things have moved. And that's exactly what happened with me this week. So now we found a place to live. So things do, without getting too consumed with it, I managed to I was like, I need to just go walk and just silence my mind for a bit and just be present in nature. And other things showed up. So it isn't just another sign of, we need to trust that everything happens in divine timing. And but just keep going. Don't give up. Don't procrastinate. Just keep moving forward, and things will shift in the right direction.
Yeah, so it's really actually being kind to yourself, because when we start sort of beating ourselves up because we haven't finished it, or we haven't started it, or we're stuck, that's when, it's really unhelpful, because then we just get even more stuck. So it's really important to be really kind to ourselves and just go, okay, well, you can take a break, do something else, come back to it, make a new plan. Maybe you need to go and see a friend and have a chat, or maybe you need to call someone up. It's like breaking these layers down.
Yes.
But yes, divine timing is everything. I mean, times when I wanted to finish things, and then I realized, what, it is divine timing. It's like it finishes, without procrastinating too much, but it finishes when the timing is right. Because often projects and things aren't ready. They aren't ready for people. Or you're not ready to hold them.
Yes.
So it all works out. We have these plans, we have plans to do things together, and it's just like, no, they haven't happened yet, because we're putting the steps in place for them to happen in the future. And so it's we just have to keep a consciousness about our monkey mind and how we go into fear. And when we're stuck in fear, nothing's going to move. And I always remind myself, fear is false evidence appearing real, because it's not real. It hasn't happened, right? So it isn't real.
No, exactly.
But we don't.
That's a very powerful note for people, actually, because it really isn't. We just, it's a trigger we get of fear, and then we create so many stories around it, and then we make like, oh my gosh, life's, everything's going to fall apart now. What am I going to do? And we get into so stuck in this cycle of and then we just self-sabotage. So yes, you're very right. Wow.
Yeah. So we have to realize that, and maybe just be a bit more playful with life. Find some joy.
Absolutely.
We know it's out there. you know.
Joy
We know
is
it's
the
there.
antidote,
Yeah.
of
I mean,
life. When something feels heavy, just ask yourself, how can you make it lighter and more fun? Because if we can do that, joy is really, even if it's small, it doesn't matter, but it shifts your whole vibration and frequency instantly when you find joy.
yeah.
So yes.
I have a few things like recently, something just really makes me laugh. I'm laughing at myself as well. I'm coming back to something in my mind, an incident or something, and I'm laughing at myself. And so I realize I'm doing that quite a bit recently. I hope it doesn't sound too much, too crazy or something. But it's just like I really have to find ways to make myself laugh when I feel I'm getting a little bit too serious. I'm taking everything seriously. You know,
That's something
this
we're all very good at,
of
is getting
life,
very serious and taking
yeah, it
life
is getting.
very
And how can we, burst that bubble of getting too serious? We're holding on too tightly.
Mm,
When we're holding on to something really tightly, it's not going to work. We have to release the tension.
mm.
We have to release it and allow it to come to us.
Yeah,
We
because
put
it
it out.
creates resistance. When you're holding it too hard, you contracting, everything starts to become contracted, and then you start feeling extreme resistance against what you're trying to do. So then you just need to slow down, take a moment, and just pause and let it move when it needs to move, and move through it in the right
Yeah,
time.
and pat yourself on the back. How much you've done so far.
Yeah.
The way I see it, the last 6 years, haven't we done well? We're still here. We're still laughing. We're still, expressing ourselves, doing our projects, keep on keeping on. Um, you
And
know,
no matter what you're going through in your life, if you look back at your whole life, you've been through something probably way worse, and you've survived, and you've got through, and you've grown, and you've become stronger. And so I think it's always these little reminders that it doesn't matter what's happening in this moment in your life. Just keep moving forward. Just, give yourself some love. Do what you need to do. Make the changes that need to be made, and celebrate the small wins.
yeah.
Joy fuels the next step moving forward. So even if you don't feel the joy, just create it. Find something that can, because it'll just help you shift through whatever you're going through, so that you can find a way through with a lot more ease and less
Mm.
resistance.
Yeah, and I've recently realized, about celebrating our wins,
Mm.
like even we can go back and celebrating some past wins, that we didn't celebrate. And it's like really remembering, writing down what those wins are. I mean, it's very powerful
Yeah.
when you write, the tool of journaling or just writing down a list of actually, what are you proud of in your life? There must be some things that you're proud of. And the same thing is like when we're going through difficult times, like you say, we've experienced them before and we've got
Yes.
through them.
Yes.
And we've probably
Yes.
experienced harder things that we're going through now, but because we're in the middle of it, then it always seems like the hardest thing ever, um, and we go into fear and I think, how are we going to get through this? But actually, if we write down what we've been through in our lives, we have overcome so much. And or remembering the happier moments in our lives, the happy memories. Sometimes we don't maybe focus enough, or because say we're not in that relationship anymore, so we don't look at those happy times that we actually had, or things have changed, so it's like maybe looking at all the happy times, there's really pivotal moments in our lives where we can still cherish them even if we're not with that person, or that person's not alive or
Doesn't
whatever it happens
Yeah,
to be.
doesn't matter. It's just because those pivotal moments are moments of growth. That's where we get to evolve and become a better version of ourselves, is through those moments. So they always, there's always something positive to take away from any painful moment, because we get to become a better person. We get to grow from it. We get to, decide, make different changes moving
Sure,
forward.
but I'm also thinking about looking at the happy moments that we actually had, because
Yeah.
often we don't maybe, always looking at the negative things that we came through and, we got over and we overcame and we made good. But, what about the really beautiful moments, that we've experienced? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't look at those. I don't look at those, I'm just here, here in the moment. But actually, maybe we need to look, I don't know, maybe we need to look back at some really happy moments of our lives, even if they,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. Everything's temporary anyway. But, and also celebrating our wins. you know,
I think
because I've
that's,
had
yeah, the
wins
best way
this
for us
week.
to end this when we do is actually
Yeah,
just to tell everyone, go and celebrate small wins. Doesn't
yeah,
matter what they are, just celebrate them. And because the joy of celebrating the small wins is going to help you step into the next stage, wherever you are.
exactly. Yeah. So I hope you've had some wins this week, or there's still some more of the week. We're only midweek, so
Yes,
uh,
exactly.
you can find some wins by the end of the week.
I've definitely got a few to celebrate. So
I know I have two this week. Well, I'm so happy. I have some wins as well, and I hope to have another win tomorrow. So yeah, so we'll leave you today, and thank you all for coming. And we'll be back next week for more conversations with Midweek Medicine. So thank
thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Thank you, darling. Have a magical day. Thank
And
you,
you.
Nick, for being here and joining us. Hope you have a magical day too.
Thank you. Bye.